My name is Michael Krieger, and this is my authentic assessment tutorial video. Okay, today we will be learning about natural selection. So the topics we will be learning about is what is natural selection, what is a Punnett square, and what does it mean, how exactly does natural selection work out in the wild, why is natural selection beneficial to us and why do we need it to survive, and finally, what are some examples of natural selection? So the first topic we will be going to is what is natural selection? Natural selection is when an organism gets a specific trait that helps it survive in its current environment. For an example, if you're a bird, you need wings to fly. So maybe a helpful trait would be to have stronger wings so you can fly for longer distances and able to carry more food. Here in the wild, we observe two birds, each with a special genetic mutation. One has a genetic mutation that will help them glide farther because they have longer wings. Another will collapse because they have short wings and cannot fly very far.
We're birds! No, too tired! I have longer wings so I can fly farther!
Natural selection is also when an organism undergoes a genetic mutation that helps it adapt to an environment. Natural selection is also when adaptations occur in a species that help it survive and prosper in its environment. Here we are again in the environment. This time, we are seeing animals that are lizards adapting to their environment by protecting themselves in camouflage. One of these lizards is green and can easily hide in bushes to escape from predators. Another one of these lizards is grayish, yellowish, bluish, and also pink, so they will likely be spotted and eaten by predators. Aha! We can see that the green lizard has already hidden in a bush and is protected by dangerous predators.
Oh no! My colors stand out, so I have to run if I don't get eaten!
The second topic we'll be going to is a Punnett square. Now, this may look complicated, but don't be fooled. It's actually really simple to understand. There are three types of genes in a Punnett square. The parents are listed here. The lowercase g's on the top of the yellow feather in the middle of them are called homozygous recessive, as you can see plainly on the left. The other parent, the one on the left side, with the capital G and the lowercase g with the green feather in the middle of them, is heterozygous, as you can see on the left again. So, these different feather colors are important. It will determine what feather color will be passed on to its offspring, which are listed in the boxes here. The way that you figure out a Punnett square is that you line up the letters. For example, this on the top left yellow G with the yellow feather next to it, if you move that one space down and move this green G with the green feather under it and move that one space to the right, then you get capital G and then lowercase yellow g. And that is heterozygous on the left. And since it has a dominant gene, which is the capital G, it will be a green feather. So, as we can see again with the next box on the right to the one that we just talked about, it'll be the same thing, heterozygous. But if we look at the box under it, we can see that the two yellow G's line up, and so it is homozygous recessive. Now, it is a recessive gene, which means it's going to be a yellow feather, as we can see in the Punnett square. So this could be not only feathers, different color feathers, but like fin size or tusk size for elephants, or you name it. Any genetic mutation for any animal, this can be applied. So now, the thing is that you have to figure out the percentage if the offspring is going to have heterozygous or homozygous recessive. And you do that by finding out the percents. Well, as you might already have guessed, 50% of the Punnett square is made out of heterozygous, and the other 50% is made out of homozygous recessive. So it's 50% heterozygous and 50% homozygous recessive. Now, if we were to say have a capital green G here, this square would be homozygous dominant. Now, homozygous dominant is a dominant gene with both capital green G's, so it would obviously be a green feather. Now, the third topic we'll be going to is how does natural selection work? So, organisms that have the ability to have the trait reproduce and pass it on to their offspring. The other organisms in the species die out to lack of having the trait. So, basically, what that means is if an organism gets a specific trait that helps it survive in its environment, then it is likely that it will pass it on to its offspring. And its offspring will pass it on to their offspring, and so on and so on and so on. Now, the organisms that do not have that specific gene will probably die out because they will not survive as well as the ones that have the gene. And the genes can be beneficial or non-beneficial. A beneficial gene, well, an example would be bright feathers on a bird, let's say a toucan. Bright feathers attract a mate so they can reproduce and pass it on to their offspring. Or it can be just for show or non-beneficial. For example, if you have green eyes, then that's likely a genetic mutation that went on into your body that gave you green eyes. So it's a non-beneficial natural selection gene. Yeah. So why do we need natural selection? Why do we need it to survive? That's the question here. So natural selection, it benefits the organisms to survive. My bad. So basically, if you have the gene, then there's a way higher chance of you surviving rather than dying before you get a chance to pass it on to your offspring. So natural selection also helps organisms survive in different environments. So, for example, if you live in a desert and you're, say, a gecko, you're not going to need a lot of water, because if you have a genetic mutation that causes you to drink less water in a desert, then that would be extremely beneficial because, as you might have guessed, there's not a lot of water in a desert. So yeah, we need that to survive if you're in a desert or any other place that you need a gene. Better cut that out. So natural selection also helps organisms lead a more productive life. And if you have a more productive life, then you have a greater chance of survival and a greater chance to pass on traits to your offspring if you have a mutation that helps you survive in an environment. So the last topic is a summary overview. So what you learned from this video is all sorts of stuff. What's natural selection? What's a Punnett square all about? How does natural selection take place? And why is it important to have natural selection? All those topics, I hope you learned from this video. And thank you so much for watching this tutorial video on natural selection. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time.